57 miles from Chattanooga. Our next stop is in Manchester, Tennessee. We were ready to go from the charger in Edenville or wherever that was. And just as I got Joan buckled in, unplugged the car, got back in, ready to roll, a little red Toyota pickup pulled in front of us and just stopped. And I thought, oh man, what is this going to be? You know, obviously they're blocking that I can't leave. It was an older guy, and he popped out of the car and was just asking about how much it costs to charge, how you do it, how you pay for it. I was like, oh, that's really not bad compared to what I'm paying for gas in his truck, and it was just a little pickup, similar to ones I've had in the past, like a little Toyota pickup at one point. But just cool that people, you know, come over and ask questions and, you know, want to know more about them. You know, a lot of small town people I've talked to, especially when they're superchargers, they'll say, oh yeah, we saw them put them in here and didn't know that anyone would use them, or, you know, I've never talked to anybody who owned one, so was just curious and thought I'd stop by. And that's another really cool part about having the infrastructure visible, having them out where people can see it, locals can see it, and understanding that it is an option. I think if you don't see public charging, even though you charge mostly at home, you don't start having those conversations. So pretty cool, but it didn't slow us down a little bit. But it's a beautiful day, a nice stop, all good and worth it. I've driven through Chattanooga several times, and every time I've wanted to stop and find an overlook because this valley is just so pretty. Obviously, it would be better in the springtime or summer when everything's green, but already just winding up these little roads is worth it, and so much fun, amazing views already, and we're not even near the top. Gonna be pretty cool. We're gonna have a little break, finish our lunch up there. So I think once we leave here, it kind of starts flattening out into the plains again. Here is Ruby Falls. Might stop there on the way back. We're going to go all the way to the top to Point Park. These are steep roads, about as steep as a lot of the roads we were in Colorado. Not being too familiar with the local history, I didn't realize that the top of Lookout Mountain above Chattanooga would be a national park. Point Park is small, but showcases and memorializes the battle above the clouds, the Civil War battle in the fog and rain of November 25th of 1863, as the Union armies took Chattanooga. Despite the war history and Joan being a little surly, the views are incredible. I'm not sure if she was nervous about the heights, tired, or if we had a sixth sense situation going on. But after walking around the ridge trails, it was time for a breathtaking drive down. As we left, I noticed a plaque commemorating this was also the site of one of the last battles of the American Revolution. Crazy that these beautiful places have such a history of bloodshed. We just stopped at Point Park, got up here with 49%. We'll see what we have when we get down to the bottom. Should get some back with regen. Had a nice walk around. Joan was a little crabby. We're going to try to hit Ruby Falls on the way down the hill, but we're burning through the day pretty fast here because we went so slow through here. Ruby Falls, and I was debating whether or not to stop here because Joan was so naughty up at the top. But I saw they had EV charging and I thought, well, I better check it out. A couple of Blink chargers. I don't know if there's anything you need to do. I don't have a Blink app, but I'll just try to plug in and see what's up. Oh, you have to have the Blink app, and I don't have that, and I don't feel like dealing with it. So, good that they're here, but I'll just use the supercharger. All right, we were gonna do Ruby Falls, but it's 24 bucks for an adult, which is unreasonable, but it also takes an hour and a half to walk up to the falls and back. And I imagine you would want to spend some time looking at it. And we got to get all the way to St. Louis. We're gonna have to do Ruby Falls on another trip. I also thought it was part of the park system, and it doesn't appear that it is, which isn't the end of the world, but it's a little more touristy than I expected. We just popped into the Ruby Falls little visitor area, but they do have a falls tour, a cave tour, a little lookout over the valley here. Probably worth it if you have the time. Maybe we'll come back again sometime, because it is a pretty area. It would be nice in the summer with leaves on the trees and everything. That's the problem with a little exploring, is you learn all the stuff you still want to see. So that's been the story of our consumption lately. Up and down the mountain there. We're almost to Manchester, and I turned off preconditioning. When we left Chattanooga, I wanted to precondition, but I figured it's almost 60 degrees. We were going to be doing mountain driving up and down, and last time I looked, it said this stop was going to be about 40 minutes. It seems like way too much. So I thought if we burn any preconditioning, it's just going to take longer. So with a 40-minute stop, unless it was really cold or something, or we hadn't been driving, I don't see any reason to really precondition. So shut that off. We'll see how it goes. I think it's estimating we'll get there with 16%. We're at 21 now. Okay, estimating 45 minutes here, and our next stop is Kuttawa. Since our last charge, that was 136 miles. We're almost at 2,800 miles for the trip. Even with all the mountains, that last trip was only 324 watt-hours per mile. 143, 56 degrees. Right, charging here in Manchester, Tennessee. Joan's just gonna have a little popcorn. A little popcorn break. Longtime viewers of the channel will recognize this stop, although it was nighttime. This was our first stop coming up from Orlando on the Frunkful of Diapers trip. We pulled in here to charge and sleep in the car in the Model S. And one of those first couple stops, after we were done charging, I moved over by the dumpster so we wouldn't block a charging stop, and we slept for 1 or 2 hours here. And at the time, the car and the phone didn't agree on what time it was, so I think I lost an hour of sleep trying to figure out the time my alarm should really be set was. So charging complete at 277 or 227, and we are on our way. That was a long one, but we got some donuts, had some other snacks, hung out for a while, and it was all right. But we got to get moving. 97%. Our next stop is Kuttawa, we'll get there with 7%. Maybe I'll take it a little slower on this one. I don't know why they're having us do this. This will be kind of a takeaway from the video. I know there are chargers here that we could have just skipped through, so I don't know why we're going that far and we stayed here so long. That was bad planning on Tesla's part. We were just in Manchester at the Dunkin' Donuts. Got a little coffee. We got a pink sprinkle donut for Joan, which was cool. Got major semi-traffic here today. A couple interesting things. I was trying to figure out why they would want me to charge for 40 minutes at Manchester, go all the way through Nashville, where I think there's 3 superchargers, to Kuttawa for my next one. Especially since the one in Manchester, I think, topped out at 120, 125 kilowatts. And I'm looking at the time of day and the traffic map that was laying over Nashville as I looked at the route. And there's a lot of red on there. So I'm wondering if they take some of that into account and staying here longer is better than fighting through rush hour traffic or already congested traffic to hit busy side roads to maybe charge, well, to definitely charge faster a second time when just getting through that congestion might ultimately be faster. Seems pretty counterintuitive. I don't know if the system is that nuanced. Another odd thing the navigation does is it doesn't take into account the time difference of where you're going. Our ultimate destination is in Central Time, and when we left Chattanooga, I was saying it's going to get us there at 9:30 or something like that. Well, now that we're in the Central Time Zone, it's saying 8 something. It seems to be giving you the time of the time zone you're in instead of the time zone that's accurate to the place you'll be, which is confusing. That kind of got us as we were driving. Semi just tried to flatten us. So that's really peculiar. I'm wondering if other people have had that experience. I was following the navigation going south into Knoxville and telling my cousin we'd be there by 6, and the navigation was saying, hey, you're going to get there 5:30. I thought, great, we'll be early, and we got there at 6:30 Eastern Time. So something they need to look at in how they display that. We are in the thick of semi-traffic and still up and down hills, so there's a lot of changing lanes and stuff going on. We're gonna just power our way through Nashville, get to Kuttawa, and see what our situation is at that point. You can kind of see why they didn't want us getting on and off in the middle of this mess. Okay, we just got into Kentucky, and we've got a lane closure. That's slowing us to a stop. Man, we are just hitting all the construction today. We're crossing the Big West Fork of the Red River. Sun's starting to head down, and so we're getting some nice light, but unfortunately there's not too much to see. We've kind of climbed out of the mountains, it seems like, and we're into smaller and smaller rolling hills. We might have a few good climbs and drops coming up. But interestingly, our energy graph was saying that we would originally get to Kuttawa with 7%. Now it's saying 22%. So I don't know if that was a miscalculation. We've been pretty consistently over the line. And really by the time we were in Nashville, it was saying we would get there with something like 28%. I've been going fast, so that's knocked it down to 22, but still that's plenty. We could have left earlier from our last stop. It's not the end of the world. We had a nice break, but with how long of a day it is, I wish we would have gotten moving a little sooner. And hitting 2 batches of stop and go traffic on this leg is Well, really 3. We're not going to break any speed records today. Kuttawa, Kentucky, says we need about 25 minutes. Got here with 18% at 5:20. It was only 171 miles, but it took almost 3 hours because of all the stops. So we are ready to get out of the car. 309 watt-hours per mile, almost to 3,000. We'll easily pass that yet tonight. Kuttawa. This is a version 2 supercharger. It is starting to get cooler here. Probably need to drag the jackets out of the frunk for our next stop, which is unfortunate. I'm not quite ready for snow again. The sun is going down, and Joan is playing in the back, drumming on my suitcase. Use the restroom at the Exxon station, and we're probably gonna hit the Wendy's on the way out for some dinner. Then hit the road to Mount Vernon, Illinois. All right, 5:50, got up to 83%. Our next stop is about 2 hours away. 129 miles. We're gonna grab some dinner first and just get rocking. All right, no one in line at Wendy's, so we were able to get through there very fast. It's about 6 p.m. and we got a green light. Everything's coming up Millhouse. Reprogrammed the nav to our actual hotel destination, and it's saying it's juggling between our next stop being our final stop and only needing 10 to 15 minutes, so that's good. It's 2 hours away though, so that means 8 at night. It's going to be late getting into our hotel, but we'll try to drive efficiently. We're going to run out of sunlight here, so this might be the last usable dash cam or in-car cam. Mount Vernon says we need about 15 minutes, and let's get plugged in. Let's see what we did here. 131 miles, took almost 2 hours, used 43 kilowatts, 328 watt hours per mile, 19%, 744. Let's get plugged in. V2 charger, the thicker cable. Come on, let's ramp it up. All right, here we go. Lots of lodging around this one, which is nice. How are you doing, sweetheart? You want to get out and stretch? Or you got food on your face. Time to get those jackets out. It's starting to get a little chilly tonight. All right, charged up just past 66%. It says we're good to continue the trip. Let's get up there to St. Louis and get to bed. Finished charging at 67%, 8:03. Let's roll. All right, it's saying an hour and 27 minutes. So we should get there around 9:30 if this light ever changes. Leaving Mount Vernon, we had a pretty efficient stop. Had a dirty diaper at the right time to take care of that, and about a 15-minute long charge, maybe it was 20. I'm ready to do this last 95 miles and get some shut-eye after that. And I know the GoPro's running low and I'm not feeling like charging it right now, so when he dies, he dies. But there's not going to be much to see. Maybe I'll save a little juice for passing by the Arch in St. Louis. But other than that, it's just going to be dark road. Meet me in St. Louis. right, 9:30 at night, 18%. It's a little blurry there. Total trip so far, 3,197 miles. 97 miles since our last charge. Took an hour and a half, 338 watt hours per mile. Temperature is still nice at only 49 degrees, so that's not too bad. We gotta get checked in and get to bed, because to us it feels like 10:30. Let's do it. Should we go inside and get some breakfast? What do you think? Yes? And then we'll drive home? Yeah? Okay. We have a friend here this morning. It's a good thing we didn't park in the wrong spot. I almost backed into the wrong one. But a beautiful Porsche Taycan 4S. And it looks sharp. You ready to go home today? See Mama? 8:07 in the morning, and we're still slow charging at 86%. We need to navigate to Burnsville, Minnesota. 444 miles. If we stay on track, we should get there by around 4:30 or 5. So we will try to stay on that. I'm gonna try a different tactic today and not precondition until we're close to the chargers. So navigate to each city rather than do the whole trip like we did yesterday. So let's unplug and get rolling. The cord's a little stiff, but I wound it up how I would like to find it and how I found it last night. So one last look at the Porsche and we're on our way. Alright, 3,300 miles into the trip, 339 watt hours per mile average. The last trip was 104 miles at 362, so using a little more juice now that we're getting back into some wind and some cold. But not too bad, it's only 52 degrees. We're here with 30% at 9:45. Let's get plugged in and roll. Hannibal, Missouri, version 3 supercharger. It's 10:21. We stopped charging before now. Had to take care of a diaper. 2 hours, 15 minutes to Coralville. And saying we'll arrive there with 9%. So we are going to skip a charger at Mount Pleasant along the way. So that'll be a backup option. 10:21, 55 degrees. Let's get rolling. Leaving Hannibal, it said we'd get there with 9%. It's now estimating 26%, so we'll see what we get when we arrive there. It's a little odd. We had one of those yesterday too, so not sure what's going on there. Perspective is so weird that when we were coming south, obviously it was toward the end of the day, and when we got to Hannibal, Missouri, I'm like, all right, we're really getting into the south already. And now coming up from Florida, as the ground is starting to level out more, the roads aren't as busy, it's more of the Midwest vibe. Hey, we're finally back up north, or we're back in the Midwest. So there were patches of snow all the way down to St. Louis on the way back, so a big difference a week makes. We're at the 1st of March today, headed towards spring. Hopefully Minnesota isn't too far behind. Speed limit here is 65. I'm gonna probably keep it at 63 or 73 until I have a better sense of how we're doing on efficiency on this run. That's about what traffic is doing. Going a little faster than the semis, a little slower than some of the other traffic. Should get there about a little after 12:30. estimating 20 minutes here in Coralville. Let's check out that trip. 149 miles, 332 watt hours per mile. We're at 3,450, 17%, 56 degrees out, and ready to plug in. To be or not to be. Version 2 station and charging up. All right, 86%. Took till 1 o'clock. I unplugged a few minutes ago, but we're on our way now. Gonna grab some lunch before we leave and get rolling. Most of this trip I've been trying to let autopilot and navigate on autopilot work together, and sometimes I forget to turn it on or just choose not to. But coming down entrance ramps, sometimes it doesn't quite know right where to stop, and so if there's someone behind me, I will take it out or have my foot on the accelerator, because I did have one instance where it kind of brake checked someone behind me. Obviously we didn't get hit, but it was rude. I'm sure they were thinking what's going on, so trying to be mindful of who's behind me in those cases. It's done fairly well. I keep thinking I know the exits better than it does, or the turn into different superchargers and things, and so I'll take it out and exit one early and then realize that the parking lots don't connect, and I've just got to go around a block or go out of my way further. Trying to be more mindful before I take it out of where it's really going rather than what I think we should do. Alright, estimated 20-minute stop and 15 minutes in Albert Lea. Get home a little after 6. We'll see how that goes. Last trek was only 83 miles, 342 watt hours per mile. Total distance on the trip is 3,533 miles. Average of 339 watt hours per mile. We're at 43% at 2:30. 55 beautiful degrees here in Waterloo, Iowa. Interesting way they put these in here, but they reach as long as you go back far enough. Enough time for a restroom break. Plenty of stores if you want to spend more time here, and other EV charging if you need it. So back in Waterloo, but not meeting Jim, the Iowa Tesla guy, today. It's a Monday afternoon and I assume he's at work, and so just doing a quick stop here, and then we'll continue on our way up to Minnesota. All wrapped up here in Waterloo, ready to roll. Charged a little too long to 87%. 15 minutes at Albert Lea. I don't even know if we'll need that much, but we'll get over there, we'll get on the interstate and get moving. Just leaving the Waterloo, Iowa Supercharger. Looking forward to having a brief stop in Albert Lea and then getting home. Hopefully we can beat sunset, but I don't know. Might be wishful thinking. We keep taking longer than the car. That's just kind of how it goes. We are on North 218 in, I guess now, northern Iowa. We're about 84 miles from Albert Lea, Minnesota. We are starting to get more cloud cover, unfortunately. We just dropped under 50 degrees, and mostly the ground is clear. We are starting to see more ditches with snow in them, and kind of those shadow spots are starting to show more and more snow. We'll see how it is in Minnesota. Hopefully more of that is melted. After a little taste of sunshine, I'm ready for spring. even though it will take a little longer. We're 43 minutes away from Albert Lea and just started preconditioning. Now because we're going to Albert Lea instead of Rochester, I'm gonna let it precondition because this is gonna be a different route anyway. And we are getting colder. It's 45 degrees now, and I'm assuming that will continue to go down as we head north. Right now we're headed almost straight west. Yeah, straight west on Highway 18. Going over, we kind of took a dog leg at Floyd, Iowa, and started heading straight west toward 35. So looks like that's going to be in about 10 miles. And then we'll get on the interstate speeds, and just hammer it home. Alright, there is the Diamond Joe Casino, the Iowa Welcome Center. So we are very close to the border, 13 miles away from Albert Lea. I always forget how close to the border Albert Lea is. We just hit 40 degrees. Still, most of the fields are pretty clear of snow. Joan's drinking the last of my water. Our rations are running out, as far as mostly healthy things. And our ration of diapers is too. We got one more for the Albert Lea stop. That's going to have to get us home, which should be easy. Other than a little cloudiness, most of that is blown north, and it hasn't been bad at all. We're gearing up for what should be a pretty nice sunset, and we'll be going against rush hour as we get into the suburbs, so that should go pretty smoothly too. It's 4:37, so we're running a little behind, but we had some longer stops where all in all, much easier than the trip 2 years ago. I can't believe, like, looking back at it, like, I'm kind of tired now, but not bad. Yesterday was a long day, but we got a hotel rest, got a chance to take a break from the road. Trip we did 2 years ago in the front full of diapers, that driving home in 2 days, just a couple hours of sleep was insane and not advised. I do not recommend anyone do that. And like most of the scenery, as we come into Minnesota now, behind two semis, we're blocking the view. That's just kind of the way Minnesota welcomes you, and we're crossing the border at 4:38 p.m. So we're going to have a very quick stop in Albert Lea, and then just hit it home. Estimated stop of 15 minutes. That was 131 miles, 366 watt hours per mile. Guessing a lot of that was from precondition. That's 449, 37 degrees, 16%. Let's roll. There we go. All right. At the used to be Happy Trails, now it's just the Trails. That's weird. A little rebranding there. Unfortunately, this is one of the last few version 2 superchargers that was installed. We've got some DC fast charging over there for other vehicles, but they built this with the Travel Plaza, or near the Travel Plaza, and I was hoping they'd be the first V3s in Minnesota, but we missed that opportunity. Are you ready to go home to Joan's house? Yes or no? Yeah, okay. Alright, just hit enough to continue the trip, although it said we'd get there with 20%, which is way more than we need, but let's hit the road. Boy, Team Blue at the Happy Trails tonight. We're at the Trails now. Somehow just calling it the Trails sounds distinctively less happy than Happy Trails. Almost like implied unhappy trails. And with a 20% buffer, we can hammer it even if there's wind, so feeling good about that too. 37 degrees and pretty pleasant, really. There's a little breeze in the parking lot, but it wasn't gusty and terrible. Doesn't feel that cold with the sun out. I'm sure once that goes down, and I'm cleaning out the car, it's going to feel cold. Sunset tonight in Burnsville is 6 p.m., so it's going to set right before we get home. I don't know if it was expecting things would be getting colder faster or what the reasoning is, but it seems like a lot of the trips today have been overestimating our consumption, which I suppose is good. But it just means I could have left each charger sooner and still been fine. But for the average traveler, I guess it's good to add buffer in. The light on my face is going to be a little crazy here, but I unplugged our home charger, or electric vehicle service equipment cable, from the garage and stuck it in the under trunk space in the rear, and I never had to get that out. And even the J1772 adapter, I got out once to try to use that blink charge, Red Falls or whatever it was in Chattanooga. This isn't to diss anything about the other networks out there or anything. It is just a seamless peace of mind. Plug it in and go, and you're routed to your stops. I intentionally didn't reference my Better Route Planner plan. Like, I went the same route and I stopped at the hotels and things, but I let the car just say where we were going. I think I added one stop going south in Iowa just as a security measure, but the rest of it was just whatever the car says, that's what we're doing. But traveling with kids, or if you're drinking a lot of fluids, you're going to be making stops anyway every few hours. So there's been a couple times where we've had to wait for the car, but it really hasn't been bad. And sometimes it's nice to just get out and stand around for a little bit. 5 minutes of stretching your legs or organizing stuff in the car, or, checking social media. 42 minutes from home, Joan. 42 minutes from home. And you'll get to see Mama and sleep in your own bed tonight. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be pretty cool. All right, we are home. Let's take a look at the final trip. 3,745 miles. Average of 340 watt hours per mile. That last stint was 82. Average of 332 watt hours per mile. 618 at night. 19%. 37 degrees Fahrenheit. Happy to be home a little warmer. So we made it home, a fantastic road trip. Thanks so much for coming along with us. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them below. But I really do appreciate you coming along on the trip with us. Now to unload this car and get it ready for the next trip. So we'll see what that is. But first, a few days at home. Have a great night. Thanks a lot, and I'll catch you in the next one.